friends, welcome back to Food Prep Guide. We are back in the kitchen today and we are going to be talking salt, specifically salt as it applies to our food storage and food preservation. There are so many different types out there, so I wanted to discuss them, what kind is best, what kind you might want to avoid, how do we store it, and what in the world is canning salt and pickling salt? Do I really need a specialty salt for canning? Let's get started.
By the way, if you would like help building your food storage, scroll down to the description box of this video and click this link for our free 1-year food storage plan. We calculated a year's supply of food for one person, then broke that data down into a week-by-week list of items to build your pantry on a budget. We'll send it straight to your inbox. If you're new here, we invite you to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss all of our upcoming food preservation, pantry storage, and gardening tutorials. Now back to the kitchen.
So I'm going to do my best to give you like a Cliff Notes version on all things salt. There are so many options out there, and I want to tell you what we have landed on and go through the different levels of salt. In my mind, there are 3 levels of salt. So first is your lowest level, your basic table salt. This stuff is highly processed. It's basically stripped of most of its nutrients. It's not very healthy for you, but it is cheap, so it's got that going for it. So that's like base level salt. And then in my mind, we have this second level of salt, and that's going to be your sea salts and your Redmond's real salt or your pink salts. And that is salt that is nowhere near as processed as table salt. It still has a lot of nutrients in it, a lot of minerals in it, and can be good for the body when used in moderation and still not have any effect on shelf life. It's still just as shelf stable as the dirt cheap, not so good for you type of salt. And then in my mind, there's a third level of salt, and that is like the cream of the crop, top level, and that's going to be your Celtic sea salt. And I'll show you in a minute what I mean by high level, best quality. And even though I have all of these different types of salts up here, in our household we have simplified to just Celtic sea salt and then just straight sea salt. So we don't, this is left over from years and years and years ago, but it doesn't go bad, so I'm not gonna waste it. I've got it, we'll put it to use somehow. And then I'm gonna be phasing out of my pink salt and just simplifying to these 2 salts. Now let me tell you why. So even though this is a 50-pound bag of Morton's sea salt inside of this 5-gallon bucket, and even though this is a good quality sea salt, meaning it hasn't been so highly processed and it doesn't have any additives in it, it has less of your minerals in it than your Celtic sea salt. Let me show you. You can clearly see that. Okay, here are the 2. They're both sea salt, but look how different. You can tell that one is almost not processed hardly at all, and one is bright white, looking almost like table salt. So on our daily use, cooking, not like a hard time scenario, nothing like that, just cooking regularly, we use Celtic sea salt for all of our stuff. It has, I think it's like 84 or 85 trace minerals in it. Don't quote me on that. I don't remember exactly how much, but a lot of minerals that our body needs. And in a hard time scenario, you could use this as like an electrolyte drink. There's like a homemade electrolyte type drink you can make out of it. Very helpful. And then we have just straight sea salt. And I say just straight sea salt because there's no anti-caking agents. If you look on the back of your regular like table salt, you will see that it has more than one ingredient. It's not just salt. It is calcium silicate, and a lot of them are iodized, so it has extra iodide in it as well. And those extra ingredients are why we don't want to use it for canning. So real quick, let's talk about canning salt and pickling salt. What are they? Do I have to have it for canning? So canning salt and pickling salt is the same thing, just goes by 2 different names, and that is just salt. Whether it's sea salt, whether it's a pink salt, or it's not usually a pink salt, but it just has nothing added to it. No iodide, no anti-caking agents. It is just straight salt. So does that mean you can use just plain sea salt for canning? Absolutely. I do it all the time. And that is why I have chosen to simplify down to just the 2 types of salt. A sea salt that is a lot cheaper than this Celtic super high quality salt, Therefore, I can store it in bulk and use it for all of my canning needs, and then I have this really high quality, very nutritious, trace minerals salt for my everyday use cooking for my family. So let's talk about salt storage. The good news is salt is a preservative already, right? And it lasts practically forever. So it is perfectly fine to, you don't have to do anything special to it. You don't need to use oxygen absorbers. You don't need to vacuum seal. In fact, you shouldn't vacuum seal because it will turn your salt, it can turn your salt into a brick really hard. I made that mistake of canning my first bag of pink salt, not canning it, sorry, vacuum sealing it, and it was a brick. I had to literally bang it, and it was just a mess. So don't vacuum seal your salt. But in a 5-gallon bucket is totally fine. I do recommend that you swap out the flimsy lid that comes with your 5-gallon buckets for a Gamma Seal lid. And the reason why is because the number one enemy and pretty much only enemy to salt is moisture. Moisture gets in your salt, you've got a problem. So this Gamma Seal lid helps to keep that moisture out versus that flimsy lid that it can pop on and off super easy. It's also very thin, very porous, and it just doesn't do a good job of protecting your food. So if you swap it out for a Gamma Seal lid, that's all you need for your salt storage. Oh, I see people who will store it in Mylar bags, and you know, there are certain things in food storage that we want to invest in as insurance to protect our food storage, like Mylar bags, oxygen absorbers, all those things. But I prefer to funnel those into items that need it, and salt simply doesn't need it. It's not a pest prone, it's not doesn't need an oxygen free environment. It lasts practically forever all by itself. So let's funnel those resources into things that need it, and let's keep it simple. And for salt, a 5-gallon bucket with a Gamma Seal lid is all you need. And I purchased this 50-pound bag of Morton's straight sea salt, nothing added, not iodized, over a year ago, and I'm only down to like here. So to give you an idea, we're a family of 5. I expect this to last 3 years. So it can be a simple one-time purchase that can last for several years as well. Okay, y'all, I hope that helps y'all figure out some things about different types of salt storage or different types of salt and how to store it, and hope that answered your question if you had it about canning salt and pickling salt. It's just straight salt. You don't need anything added, don't need a specialty salt ingredient, just nothing added, not iodized, and you can use it for canning. Okay, y'all, see y'all next time. Bye.